Yeah, like Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin's new fucking Patreon alternative. Look, can I just? Angelo said it was totally cool for me to talk about. I was being extra protective when he was talking about CIA. His experience with Peterson backed up what I've been saying the whole time, and this is from someone. He was such a fan of Peterson that he was hiring him for like $1,000, which is low in the public speech world, right? And Peterson come to dinner. He was a fan. Like Angelo loves honesty balls. Peterson displayed those things. I was on board too. And then as time went on, he got booked by CIA. That's when I first knew something was up with Peterson. And then, after watching Vox dismantle, I understood why and all the details. But like, his rate went up to 70,000, right? And even if people wanted to pay it, which Angelo was down, the agents were like, "We've done research, and this doesn't play well with our demographics." And whenever he'd see Peterson, after that, he was always with a group of dudes in suits. I'm not lying, guys. When I attack this shit, there's a reason. And when I'm wrong, I will fucking eat humble pie. He's owned. He's controlled. They won't let him, they won't even tell him about certain gigs. I was part of that. People would tell me at parties and shit, like, "Oh, we submitted you for this movie, but we never heard back." And I'm like out of work at the time, and I asked my agent, like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "Oh yeah, we don't see that as the long-term, direction of your career." I'm like, sounded funny. I'm like, yeah, but it's so bad that not only am I not exaggerating, I'm trying to be nice. And so when Angelo was talking about CIA being the devil and shit, he saw the whole thing play out as someone hiring the guy. And he saw like what Peterson was like in the beginning, and then how we started getting controlled, and how he pretended he didn't get offers, and how he's literally a mouthpiece for evil. I don't know how else to tell you guys. Sorry. Ha ha ha. And I try to do it with like funny shit and all that, but like and the more time goes on, the more people see it in Rogan, they see it in Peterson, and like I get less and less shit for it. And the reason I care is because these people are, whether they started with good intentions or not, I don't care. It's too late for that. Their whole position is white males. It's all voting demographics. The whole thing is voting demographics, right? So every single demographic votes majority left except for white males. We happen to also be the majority population for now. There's a reason that there are people that offer bags of gold to people who can get white males to become leftists. And sometimes the Petersons and the Rogans probably they might not even know it's happening. They literally, I'm not going to assign blame. I'm not going to say that there's a conversation that happens where it's just carrots and sticks. That's why, hardline morality is the only way out of that. Because they'll say, "Oh, I think you should do this," or maybe you should. And they only surround you with people that reinforce one idea over and over and over again. And then before you know it, you are fucking owned. And JBP and Rogan, both guys I looked up to tremendously, speak to people. Their primary audience is white males. And they'll ask questions and say hard truths and say, "Clean your goddamn room, eh?" And these are things that guys in my culture, my ethnicity, it doesn't matter if it's racial, cultural. The end result is the same. It does not matter. I don't need to have those arguments. But to get those guys to say, turn on Kavanaugh, open borders, abortion's great, smoke your weed, blah, blah, blah. That's political. It's all about power. It's all power. All power. And the art of power is evil. It's in all of us. We all have truth and power. Truth and power are the two metaphysical 12th dimensional forces that we can't possibly understand the origins of, And that's what dictates our life. Power, the ability to have power or the ability to speak truth. They're two towers. They're two giant forces in our lives. Politics is the division and the control of power. And so the way our government is set up is voting. Demographics consistently, year after year after year, for decade after decade after decade, vote specific ways. You have to understand, why does Hollywood, why does media, why does immigration, why do all these things have one enemy, and that's white males. It's not about racism. It's about power. White males are the only demographic that votes for smaller government, less taxes, more freedom every fucking year, all the time. Yeah, well, I know a guy who does it. It doesn't matter. It's all about probability. A casino can make $1 billion on 5149, right? Like roulette, right? Just red, black, 50-50 chance, right? Those two green slots, they can make $1 billion on. It doesn't take much. It's demographics. And it's like people want to just sit on their laurels and be like, demographics do not matter. We have the Constitution, as long as people agree to it. You bring in enough people that say, I don't like the Constitution. Do we have a majority? Constitution burns. And people like me that say uncomfortable truths like that get burned. We get ostracized. But it's like, if more people don't talk about that, we lose all of it. And it's not easy to put me in a category of hate. It makes no sense. There's no logic behind that. Do you think CAA told Peterson to stop using Twitter to isolate him from his original base? No, it doesn't work like that. It's not. They don't sit you in the room and say, we have a plan to destroy the world. See, you just gotta, you see it or you don't. I don't know what to tell you. I'm trying to give you as much info as you can, and like, the edge plus time equal gold. And this in a nutshell is democracy. Yeah, democracy. That's why I like the fact it's a republic. But then the creation of the CIA, we're in a bad spot, man. We're in a bad spot. The good news is we have a lot of land. We have an armed population. We have a core majority of America that sees right through this shit. We're not as blind as like Venezuela or North Korea or any of these places. But that being said, you got to be vigilant. World War I and World War II are European genocides designed by the bankers. Bankers and imperialists. You know, you have old money in England like Cecil Rhodes and this guy, last name House. There's a lot of factors. But yeah, there was chaos, disruption. Disruption is what they'll call genocide, war. And when they shake it up, they always end up profitable. You know, that's why even right now, you see that it's not always just psychopathic bloodlust. They'll do it on fucking Twitter. Like, the thing about social media, the double-edged sword of it is it's oddly resulted in less assassinations and just violence, because they can destroy your name now, and they can just shame you. It's all about just shaking up chaos and then profiting. And it's so cold and calculated that they don't care if you live or die.